I had a great discussion with my kids the other day, as one of my sons recently is studying the Holocaust in school. And he was commenting on the famous Anne Frank quote that says something to the effect of, um, when all is said and done, I believe that people are basically good at heart. And we all resonate with that quote, and that it expresses this amazing hope and optimism in spite of what Anne Frank experienced, and optimism about people. But my son was saying, he doesn't believe that to be true. And in our conversation, I think that from the Torah's perspective, he's correct. This last week, we saw very much that in spite of all of the miracles and wonders that the people Israel had experienced from God being liberated from Egypt, they still engaged in idolatry. They still continued to focus on fulfilling the needs of the self. There's a famous Native American story about a father who's talking to a son who says, inside of me, I feel like I have two wolves, and they're fighting against each other. And the son asks the father, well, which one will win? And he says, whichever one I feed. And this story is likened to the Jewish idea that inside each one of us, there is a Yetzer Hatov, a good inclination, and a Yetzer Hara, or an evil inclination. We have both the desire for survival and focus on ourselves at the expense of the whole. And we also have an awareness and desire for altruism and for the whole. And the question is which one do we feed? And what's going to be responsible for helping us continue to feed that good inclination? It's interesting that Charles Darwin, in his studies, came up with the famous theory of natural selection as far as how human beings evolve, that really the survival of the fittest on an individual level, it seems to be that those who are able to adapt, individually to their environment, are the ones who will survive. But what he also found was that that in groups, not as individuals, but in groups, people, tribes that were able to work together were able to outlive those individuals that were not able to. And so it's through our groups and our working together that we are able to survive. What's also interesting is that modern Harvard sociologist Robert Putnam, in a lot of his seminal studies on religion in America, really noticed that while he noticed that the social fabric of our country had been eroding, in that people are less likely to participate in communal kinds of activities, like used by the metaphor in his book Bowling Alone, that people aren't joining bowling leagues anymore, but more often just going to the bowling alley by themselves. He did notice through a lot of his research that people who did participate in religious communal kinds of organizations were more likely to give charity, were more likely to reach out to others. And that was among people who even identified as atheists, that one did not have to have a belief in some kind of supernatural or greater God or divine kind of being or presence in order to participate in positive ways in community. And so that's really what is underscored by this week's Parshat Vayachel, which follows right after the incident of the golden calf. So after the people have engaged in this idol worship and Moses comes down, and after he's angry and he breaks the tablets, our Parsha starts with saying, and Moshe gathered. And this word Vayachel is the same word as Kehillah, which means community. So Moses took the crowd and chaos that was present in among the people when he came down from the mountain, and he brought people together in community. He brought people together in community. And how did he do that? He did that in two ways. One with Shabbat, and that's the beginning of this parsha. And the second is with the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And in bringing together in Shabbat, that one of the things that helps us transcend our own individual focus and desire is Shabbat, is to be together with other people, our family and our community, in ways that allow us to share and notice our connections with each other. And the second, the building of a holy space, is that we work on a common project together, something that transcends ourselves. And that working together also allows us to create more of a shared concern and a shared connection with each other. So that's really what our opportunity is at Temple Bethel for sacred community, is that by going ahead and participating in helping contribute to the community, we also help transcend that desire in ourselves that wants to focus on only our own needs and allows us to be connected to the people that we're a part of. Shabbat Shalom.